Hi, it's me. Whew. Let's talk about kindness and what it is, why it matters. I mean, it's such a simple thing, right? Like, you're taught this from what, when you're in kindergarten, below kindergarten, just how to be nice, be kind. But, like, being nice and being kind is not the same thing. Let's be honest here. Being nice can be the same thing as being just like boring. I mean, boring is a harsh word, but being like unproblematic, non-confrontational, just, you know, being liked. And I think that the desire to be liked is, I think naturally it's normal, like you want people to like you, but if you want it too much, it can cause people pleasing tendencies or even like manipulation. And even if you don't mean to be manipulative, even if you don't mean to, like, if you're trying to not cause waves for so much, it's gonna naturally force you to go against yourself because there's no way you can truly agree with all people at all times. So, how do you choose to be kind whenever you disagree? How can you alter the script of being just nice and being kind? Well, I would argue that being kind is a form of self-love first. So if you love yourself in a way that's pure and forgiving, and you understand that you make mistakes, you understand that you've had times where maybe you've changed your beliefs over time or grown to understand something or grown in general, and if you can have that kind of compassion for yourself, then you can just give it freely to others. It's not coming from a place of judgment or from a place of just aggression or anything like that. Like, it can actually be in a way that's compassionate towards another person, even if there's a disagreement, even if you have different beliefs, even if someone does you wrong. And I think that it's really important too to understand, I think this word gets thrown around a lot, but boundaries and knowing what you truly are capable of. I used to would create like to-do lists for myself or just different goals, this hair, or different goals that I, in my heart, knew that I wasn't ready to like actually accomplish all of them, but I still would put them on there anyway, and then I would fail myself over and over and over again. And it wasn't that I was a failure, it's like I was setting myself up for failure. So boundaries is like, in the same way, it's like you want to set yourself up for success. And if you know that if a person or a place or a temptation is gonna throw you off course, you need to set that boundary for yourself. Think of it as like bumper lanes when you're going bowling. Like, would you rather go and bowl with bumper lanes and actually do well, or go and do it without and just get gutter balls every single time? Like, you have to like build up skills, right? So like, if your skill level in self-respect is maybe really low, like you just haven't flexed that muscle enough, like put those boundaries in place so that you don't go against your own self-respect. And then as you start to build it, then you can like maybe lower the boundaries because you'll be ready for those situations. And through all of this, being kind to yourself and being compassionate with yourself, like even if you do slip up, it's okay. Like, we all are gonna make mistakes, we're all human, but that doesn't mean that you should make the same mistake again and again. It means that you learn from it and you say, oh, okay, maybe I'm not ready to be around those kind of people again because they influenced me. Like, I think back to my past and like certain friends I had, and it's like every time I was around them, they would engage in activities that in my heart of hearts I knew wasn't like really aligned with me. But if you're around those people and you can't like say no, or you constantly give in to peer pressure, like, don't be around those people. And it might seem hard at first, but in reality, you're only helping yourself. Like, you have to be so aligned with yourself that no one else can shake you. I mean, there are times that I was in rooms that I didn't agree with what the people in the rooms were doing, but something that I really realized from that is like, by me being in that room, like, I wasn't exactly like enabling anything, but if I keep going into the same room with the same people doing the same things that I don't agree with, it's gonna look like that's my room too. You know, like how are they gonna tell a difference between me and them if I'm constantly showing up in the same place with people that values don't align with mine? And there's nothing wrong with like, you don't have to like judge people or, you know, be like put them down for their decisions, or even if you like go somewhere one time or two times, like okay, but if you're constantly like being around that and they can't tell the difference between you and them, then there's a problem. Because if you don't stand on your beliefs, like, then what do you stand on? Like, if you go home at night and you're like, I can't believe I was there, I can't believe that happened, and then you go right back to it, you're constantly going against yourself. And then you're gonna have this self-judgment and self-hatred, but you're gonna keep doing it, right? So like, those boundaries are so important. They're so important, because if you don't start somewhere, like, you're just gonna keep falling back and back and back. And it's not like, it is your fault, but also not your fault, because like, again, if you're putting yourself in certain situations, that is your fault. But like, if you're not strong enough to handle the situation, like, you just have to build muscle. Like, everything in life is so connected. Like, the same way, like going to the gym, you're not gonna go in there and go squat 300 pounds. Like, that's not happening. You're gonna have to build muscle to get up to that level. You'll hurt yourself, right? You'll end up hurting yourself if you try to squat that much off the rip. But if you build muscle and you grow and get stronger over time, you'll be able to handle it. And that's the same thing with things in life. Like, as you continue to grow, you're gonna get stronger. But if you go through these situations and just keep falling back and doing the same thing over and over again, you're honestly just gonna get beaten up. And you're gonna get to the point where like, those things don't even really faze you anymore. Like, deep down, like, you know that there's something wrong, but if you're in it for so long, you're gonna become desensitized. Like, you're not gonna have the same convictions that you once had. It's like, you know, kids, like, they're so innocent and pure, and then once you get exposed to certain things and things become normal, it's not as like shocking. Like, even for myself, I think to like music and how certain music, like, they were talking about drinking and drugs and all this stuff, and you know, as a high schooler, I was like not anywhere near that kind of world whatsoever, but I was so desensitized to it, so that like, by the time I got to college, like, oh, drinking and drugs, like, that's normal, right? But like, no. So what you put in your brain is also really important. Like, what are you consuming? Because yes, when you're hanging out with people, you're obviously consuming their words, their energy, whatever they're doing, but also like in your own time, like, what are you consuming? And even food, I mean, don't even get me started on that. That's a topic for another day. But everything that you are putting in, like, they say you are what you eat. You are, because your body is absorbing it on an energetic level, on a physical level, all of it. And so tying all this together into a big old bow and trying to stay on topic, being kind. Okay? So you can be kind to people and not necessarily agree with them, but knowing like a boundary of like, hey, this is what's right for me. And, you know, if you guys want to go out and go do X, Y, and Z, that's great. I still love you, but I'm going to do this. And something that I think really helps in these kind of situations, if you really do love people and like love the relationship you have, but you don't always like agree with other things they're doing, is like, bring them into your world. Like, if you like going to church, invite them to church. If you like going to yoga, invite them to yoga. If you like to go to the gym, invite them to the gym. Like, you can still have relationships with people, but putting yourself in, like, if they're going to the club or they're going somewhere like that you just don't align with anymore, like, you don't have to keep going in those situations. And maybe over time you'll find out, like, maybe they don't want to go to the gym, maybe they don't want to go to church, maybe they don't want to invest in themselves in certain ways, but you'll eventually find people that do. And I think that holding on to old relationships is like really natural. Like, ending relationships is so hard, no matter how close, honestly. Like, at least for me, even just like casual friendships that I've had over the years, I haven't had a lot of harsh endings, but even the fizzle outs sometimes like have a little sting to them, because it's like, oh yeah, we were close at that point, weren't we? But if it doesn't align, it doesn't align, and that's okay. And like chapters can close, and you know, if your life's a book, like think about like how some books the character will leave and then 10 chapters later they come back, like, oh, whatever, get back from the dead, welcome back. But with that being said too, like be careful, make sure that if people are coming back into your life, that again, you're ready for it. Like especially if it's someone that didn't maybe do you right or wasn't a good influence, etc. Like be able to know who you are today. I think that's something that's so common too, is like I get together with high school friends or college friends, like it's easy to almost like go back into the mode of whenever I knew them, but I'm not that same person anymore and I don't make the same decisions, and kind of realizing like, okay, like it's cool to still have like that youthful spirit and to still be able to connect on things from the past, but also not completely revert back to an old version of myself that no longer exists, or she's down there, it's deep down there, but that's not who I want to be anymore. So yeah, don't be nice, be kind. And just remember, like you don't have to please anyone. You're not on this earth to please people other than God. We're here to please God, and God wants you to be your most authentic, true self, and not, you know, I feel like that gets thrown around a lot these days, and I think it's been convoluted into something that it's not, because it's not just about external expression, it's fully about internal, because everything comes from within. It's not just like, oh yeah, girl, wear that outfit, express yourself. Like, yeah, sure, that's a part of it, but that's not everything. It's what's in your heart and the expression of your heart, of your soul. And the closer you are, the more Christ-like, the more aligned with God you are, the more you are yourself. Like, we are the universe experiencing the human experience. We are, anyway, I could go on about that, but that is your true alignment. And yes, we can all express in different ways, and I think it's fun. Like, I'm wearing a snowsuit on the beach. Like, it's so much fun to dress up and express yourself in fun ways, but that's not everything. And once you feel aligned with yourself, you feel strong in yourself, you feel true to yourself, then it's so much easier just to, you know, be kind, be cordial, be, you know, there's so many descriptive words like that you could use, but ultimately, like, I heard this quote and it said, whenever you don't, like, whenever, oh gosh, I'm already butchering the quote, guys. It's about like, whenever you keep the peace on the outside, you start a war in yourself. Okay, let me say that one more time. Whenever you keep the peace on the outside, you start a war in yourself, because you're deciding, oh, this person's peace of mind, this peace in this situation is more important than my mental and emotional peace, because now you're having to live with the idea of like, oh, I should have said this, or I can't believe they did that, or you're going and like gossiping about it, or you're just angry, or you're holding on to things, or now you have resentment towards someone, and that's not doing anyone any good, other than when you could have just said no, or you could have just, you know, said something that aligned with what you actually believe and not just keeping the peace. So you can be kind with boundaries, and you don't need to be nice to people please. And deep down, be true to yourself in the sense of like, okay, in this situation, am I looking to gain something out of this conversation, out of this connection? Am I being manipulative right now? I mean, it's such a harsh truth to face. Like, over the years, like, you know, back in college, like going to the bar and like trying to be nice to get free drinks or whatever it was, it's like, that was manipulative, and it was not genuine, and I don't want to stand on that anymore. Like, I want to genuinely be kind to people with no expectations. Like, I'm not over here being nice to get something from you. I'm just a kind person. And if you cross my boundaries, I don't have to be nice. I can kindly exit or say my truth. And I think that that's important as well, because there's a way to, I'm still learning about this too, as far as like, okay, how do you, confront people sometimes? Because like, I think that there's a strong matter of respect, because everyone's a human, everyone has a story. Also, not taking things personally, like if someone is like, quote, disrespectful, like, but you do have to, again, establish the boundary. And I think that that's so important, because you don't need to absorb other people's negativity. You don't need to absorb other people's anger or frustration or any kind of projection. Like, you can, if someone is being disrespectful or saying something or doing something that you don't feel comfortable with, just have a force field around you and let it boom, bounce off. Like, exit the situation, say no, whatever that looks like in that situation. And you can do it with dignity. But don't just be nice. It'll make you miserable. You'll resent yourself. You'll resent people. Don't be nice. Be kind. Wow. The sun's almost gone. Look, guys. It was so pretty. Well, thanks for listening. I need to do like a little fit check for you guys, because it's so cute.